Hello and welcome back to Guitar Reese, the channel where the name sounds very close to guitarist, but it's actually Guitar Reese because I am Reese and this is my guitar. Today we're going to be talking about picking techniques, including picking with a plectrum, picking with your fingers, or hybrid picking. If you're new here, go ahead and drop a like and a comment to say hi and subscribe to the channel. It really helps and I really appreciate it. And if you're old here, go ahead and like the video and drop a comment, say hi. I appreciate talking to you. This video is in response to a comment on my last video from my boy Virat Kapoor. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, man. At Vircap99. Virat says, maybe a tutorial on improving syncing up picking hand and playing hand. For articulate pieces, my picking is not timed with my playing hand. So if you could maybe make a video on that, it would be great. So this is that video. So I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't take what was a simple question and turn it into some kind of video on all the things I like talking about with guitar. If you just want syncing techniques with a pick in the hand, skip to the end section of the video. I'm going to put the techniques there. There'll be like a title card that's like black and says syncing tips. But otherwise, we'll get going. So the first thing I want to talk about with guitar picks is how good they are, but also how limiting they can be, okay? And so it's interesting, when I first started guitar, I actually learned finger picking. I remember going to my guitar teacher that my mum took me to, and the guitar teacher said, I teach classical guitar, is that okay with you? And I just didn't even know what it meant, so I just said yes. What I started learning was finger picking, was classical guitar, a long time ago. I switched to a pick at some point because I liked all the solos and all that kind of stuff. The first thing I'll say about a pick is how to hold it. Okay, so you see my pick on my thumb? It's actually at an angle inwards, right? So I'm trying to keep my face close to the mic. So it's like doing a thumbs up, and then you put the pick on top of it, and then your finger is going to curve around underneath it. Right, so not like that, but like this. It's going to free it up, and I'll show you that in that view. So it's side on, right? You can hold a pick however you want if it works for you. That's a pretty classic pick hold. So the thing with a pick, once you're getting faster and faster, I think that you begin to realize is that it's limited in that it's only plucking one note at a time, right? No matter how fast you go, it's going to be like a single train of notes, right? So even if you're sweeping, it can only be so fast, but it can't kind of pick two notes at once unless it's doing like a little strum action. Like you might have a clever, like... That being said, sometimes that's exactly what you want, is a single train of notes. Like especially if you're doing a guitar solo, you may find that's what you want to be doing, right? I particularly like it for arpeggios. Sometimes too many notes can overclog it. And with picking, some of the techniques you can learn. So there's alternate picking, which is just to say picking up and down and getting used to going up and down. Because you don't want to be limited by having to go down all the time. Like, it's going to half your speed. So you really, if you're going to do alternate picking, you really want to get in the habit of up and down practice as soon as possible. And that's part of what we'll talk about with syncing up our hands at the end. Another interesting thing with the pick is economy picking. So economy picking is just like with the same scale pattern we've been doing. So if you're doing alternate picking, you're going up and down, but you may come to a time where you need to switch to the next string and you've just done a downstroke. So it doesn't make sense to go like down and then up on the next string. It's just weird. So economy picking is just thinking about how to most efficiently pick, right? So if you end on a downstroke on the top string, you just go straight into a downstroke on the next string. And the same on the way back up. It's a hard habit to get used to, but a worthwhile one. And the way you get used to it is just by doing it. I would just pick two sets of notes, like maybe... and then set it up so that it's going to end on an upstroke from the bottom. You can even do like 4 to make it come back. But economy picking is really going to give you that sailing motion. Especially with arpeggios again. So I would say try to master alternate picking and then get into economy picking. Sweep picking now is going to be like lengthy economy picking, right? Because you're going over 4 strings or 6 strings or how many strings you want to sweep over. So that's what you're doing when you're sweeping, is going right all the way up without changing directions of your pick. And the way you practice that, by the way, is just very slowly to begin with. Or like... Okay, but that's just like economy picking, right? It's just only going up and then coming back down with consistency. I can do a more in-depth sweep picking lesson at some point because I know a lot of people like it. String skipping with a pick. You're going to have to get used to that if you're going to be doing... The easiest way to show that is going to be with a chord, right? Like... you know, without hitting every single string in between. And so that's really a practice solely of this one, right? You're going... So that's the way to practice it. But I've seen many guitarists who practice this just with this hand, right? So they're looking down here and they're going... Really good practice string skipping to get an awareness of your pick landing at the right string exactly where you need it. And that's also going to help with syncing anyway. Maybe I am talking about syncing right now. But again, the limitation of playing with a pick is that it can only be hitting one note at a time, right? No matter how fast you go, it's going to be limited by hitting one note at a time. But if you're doing a single train of thought through a guitar, that can be exactly what you want. That brings us to the other form I picked down, which is finger picking, right? You'll never hear me admit the truth that finger picking is the far superior way to play guitar, because I'm just not going to say it. I will never say it. But if I'm being honest, finger picking is the best way. I haven't practiced in a long time, but straight away the benefits with finger picking is going to be that you can get multiple notes at once, right? So you can have... and you can kind of tell a story. How fingerpicking is going to work too, in its simplest form, is that your thumb is taking care of the bass, and you're trying to assign a finger to sort of each string that you want to pick, but it doesn't have to be strict, because eventually, to get speed, you're going to play them all on one string. I can't really give you too many good examples of this because I haven't learnt fingerpicking in a long time, so now I'm going to show you a couple of videos of how awesome fingerpicking is from some people that I love, and I'm sure you do too. I can only show a small amount of each of these videos, but I'll show you the first is Tim Henson from Polyphia playing his song Chimera. This is a finger-picking song. Right, so that was awesome, wasn't it? That's finger-picking. And you see, if you go and watch the full song, I'll put the links below, you can see he's switching notes with his thumb, right? And he's picking the other notes with his hand. Okay. Here's another one from, I'm going to mispronounce his name now, Matteo Mancuso. Another awesome one, eh? There's a difference between these two videos. Tim Henson is keeping his chord in one place and doing a lot of sort of extendy things, whereas Matteo is like, his hand is moving as he's finger picking. It takes a real skill to sync up those fingers with that fretting hand at the same time. That's extremely impressive in my opinion. I have watched that song by Matteo Mancuso like no less than 30 times. Like just sat there and just watched it while I'm having a beer or something. Okay, so now while you're holding a pick, you may find that you use an extra note somewhere, right? So you're playing with your pick. And you want to pick the extra note, right? Now you're doing hybrid picking. Now hybrid picking is my favorite. I've been trying to learn a lot of hybrid picking recently. It's the final boss, in my opinion. Although I actually still think finger picking is superior, to be honest. But there are some real benefits to hybrid picking, right? Because you can still, at a moment's notice, switch out and start doing the picking one-line solo stuff. I realize you can do with finger picking when you're fast enough. Like I say, it's the gold standard and it's way harder. And I just haven't learned it. One of the classic songs I know with hybrid picking is the intro to Playing God, and we'll just do it slowly, and I'll show you some hybrid picking, right? you're seeing these fingers are going out and they're picking notes while this one is taking care of the bass notes here. Because with hybrid picking, your pick is doing the job of what the thumb would be doing while you're finger picking. I'll give you an example. So from one of my songs, I did chords in 3 different ways, and it needed hybrid picking. And I'll do it slowly so you can see, right? So it's going to go hybrid, then melody with a pick, then hybrid, then melody. I'll see if I can do this one fast. This is one of my songs I wrote a while back, but we'll see if I can do it fast to show you how you can mix both together, right? I'll leave a link to that song below because it's better in the recorded version. But you get the idea. So you get the benefit of both worlds with hybrid picking. Hybrid picking is pretty hard to get used to in the first instance. And what you can do is some similar exercises that you might do to finger picking, where you'd pick a chord, like in that case, right? And what I was thinking about doing with that, it's in B minor, so you get your scale pad in here. So I'm thinking, when I wrote that, that's what I'm practicing. I'm trying to play the chord and trying to stick to the scale pattern. Alright, so here are my tips for syncing it up. So my first thing would be to use a metronome while you're practicing and to start surprisingly slow, because you've got to accelerate slowly as you learn to steer at higher speeds. So I would just take a scale pattern that you know really well with your left hand, because for me, I think the syncing is actually more of a problem of the right hand, the picking hand, rather than the fretting hand. Well, for me it is anyway, but see how you go. So I would pick a scale pattern you know. I'm just going to do this one, and I'll put a picture on screen. And at first, I would do it with a metronome, slowly. And I would speed it up step by step. So I would just I would just increase it by like 10 BPM. If you download like a metronome app on your phone, increase it by 10 BPM until you find where you're missing a note, right? And then I would spend a lot of time, like a whole practice session, trying to get it to that. And then the other thing that I'd do is, because I think that it's mostly in the pick hand, I would do it with complicated things as soon as possible. So like I say, string skipping is going to force you to focus on your pick landing in the right place. And so what you can do is, without even any chord on, you can go like, this is an exercise that I saw, right? So you go top string, second string, top string, third string, top string, fourth string, top string, fifth string, top string, and then come back. I just missed one there too. And then you switch your bass note to the second string. And the third string. But I would even pick a pattern too and do the in-betweens. Like I'd skip every second string. So that's one you can do, that kind of exercise. And then the idea with this is to create artificial necessity again, right? So like making it so hard that your brain is like forced to focus on getting it right. So then what I'd do maybe is I'd get a chord going and try and do like a little pattern like that, like I did back up here. You can do it with just the pick. Right, so that's going like second string, third string, second string, fourth string, and then 5, 4, 3, 2. And then then skipped and then changed to a chord on the top string. Okay. I would practice those techniques I talked about in the pick section. Economy picking, sweep picking, all with a metronome. Sweep picking will help you get your pick in the right place because it's got to be so steady and it's got to be so evenly spaced. Oh wait. And I would practice that with the metronome as well, right? Like. But again, I would practice slow, and I would make it perfect before I increase the speed. And if it's not perfect, then you're at the right speed to make it perfect. So stay there until it's perfect. And then honestly, it's just a matter of time of varied techniques with the pick that's going to force it to be synchronized with that hand. Arpeggios, because they're so spread over strings, and I'm always going on about arpeggios, but arpeggios will do that artificial necessity really well. And the other thing to remember too is every video on YouTube is edited, right? Like I even edit mine. If you hear me play music in these videos, I've like edited out the versions where I miss notes too. So no one's never missing notes. And the fancy artists, I watched an interview with the guitarist formerly from Megadeth. He's gone to Japan now. Forgotten his name. But he was talking about when he plays songs live, he makes a simpler version of his solos, right? Or a simpler version of his riffs because no one's going to play those complicated versions live. Have you ever watched a live video from a crazy guitarist too? They're missing notes. Unless they're Buckethead. Watch that dude. Watch Soothsayer by Buckethead if you want to have your mind blown. It's an awesome song. So in summary, to answer your question, Virat, I would just say mix up the techniques as much as you can. Do them until they're perfect. Then speed them up. And then do them at a faster rate until they're perfect. And it's just repetition, amount of time spent doing it. Yeah, I hope that helps. Go ahead and like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks.